Ramsey Gary, the libero, sends it right back over. Colvin rises up, and Colvin wins the point for Purdue.
That's their game right there. Colvin, I mean, how effortless did that look? Didn't even extend the arm all the way, just punching that ball with like a right angle with a right arm. Straight in the ground, easy for Purdue. They knot up the score at 33.
Cameron Hayworth sends it right back over. The Boilermakers win the point. And ultimately, it was an unforced error by the Hoosiers and Morgan Geddes. Anderson will send it away for the Boilermakers. This one dug out by the Hoosiers. Alonzo Corsellis off her back foot, sends it right back over the net. Anderson puts the ball right back in the air. Cameron Hayworth sets up Avery Tatum, who punches this one right at the Purdue bench. The Boilermakers win the point, 5-3.
I feel like Purdue doesn't communicate that much after each point. Obviously, every team is going to huddle up, but Purdue gets back into their spots really quick, and I think that plays to their advantage.
Avery Tatum sends this one right to left, and the Hoosiers win the point, 5-4. Your score in set number 3. Avery Tatum will serve. Scratch that. Awale will serve for the Hoosiers. Awale, the freshman, into the game for the Hoosiers and to serve. She serves right to left, dug out by the Boilermakers. Anderson sets up at the top. Over to Hudson. Now back over on the other end, and the Hoosiers win the point. Morgan Geddes makes up for her previous mistake, and the Hoosiers tie the third set up at 5 points apiece. Back and forth we go. Awale to serve yet again. Ball back under play. Dug out by the Boilermakers. Colvin rises up, and Colvin wins the point for the Boilermakers. Colvin is actually the sister of Miles Colvin, a current Purdue men's basketball player. So that could explain the genetics, at least in her vertical. Absolutely phenomenal player for the Boilermakers. Alonzo Corsellis puts the ball right back over the net. The Boilermakers win the point off of a great play by Lizzie Carr.
That was well done there by Purdue. They're the first team that has shown a little bit of life in this third set. Yes, they only lead by 2. It's nothing right now. Nothing to worry about for Indiana, but Purdue does look like they're settling into this match a little bit. Let's see what the future holds.
Hudson, her serve, corralled by the Hoosiers. Alonzo Corsellis spikes this one right into the net, and the Boilermakers win the point. 8-5, your score here in set number 3.
And Brooks, how is the atmosphere out there? This is, like you said, a top 5 atmosphere earlier as we were talking, but just take us through what's going on.
Well, Ohio State is a blue blood of college football. They are no stranger to the top 5 matchup. However, on the other end of the field, for the Indiana Hoosiers, this is unfamiliar territory, and this is the territory that head coach Curt Cignetti wants to be in. Here in the Horseshoe, you can tell it's a top 5 matchup. The Ohio State fans have traveled well. The IU fans have traveled well. It should be shaping up to be an incredible matchup here, not only for the Big Ten Conference, as this game plays many, many different roles in the future of the Big Ten Conference, but also for both of these teams in their college football playoff future. This game is crucial to the landscape of college football.
Now, Brooks, there are 110,000 seats around there in this stadium. What would you say is the turnout from Indiana fans in Columbus today?
There are a lot of Hoosiers in the lower bowl. While we were on the ground, not only with Austin and Zach, people will be on the call very soon here on WIUX, but also with many other members of IU Sports Media, we saw a lot of Hoosier fans who are very loud and very vocal, especially right behind ESPN's College Game Day crew. So there are a lot of Hoosiers here, but there are also a lot of Buckeyes here defending their home turf in a top 5 matchup. So it should be something that is very exciting to look forward to.
What are the keys for Indiana and Ohio State, Brooks, to come out victorious in this one?
Well, I think for the Hoosiers, it's getting out to an early start. The Ohio State Buckeyes, they've struggled early in these games that they've played so far this year, only scoring multiple touchdowns in one game in the first quarter. So getting off to an early lead could prove to be very crucial for this Hoosiers team. I would also look to take advantage of the matchup as Seth McLaughlin, the Ohio State starting center, who's proved to be crucial. He was an Alabama transfer brought in this year to be one of the leaders for this team in Ryan Day. Suffered a season-ending Achilles injury on Wednesday. So his presence not being on the field could be felt by the Buckeyes, and the Indiana defensive line, they could definitely take advantage of that. They're one of the nation's best. So early pressure could prove to be crucial for the Hoosiers. For the Buckeyes, it's about proving their dominance. And I really have to say this battle could go into the second half, but I think the most important quarters are these first two quarters for both teams to see who gets off to the hot start. Well, Gavin, the Hoosiers need nothing more than that bounce-back win, but on the other side of the court, so do the Buckeyes. Both teams coming off of back-to-back losses, and in particular, the Buckeyes in their last one against Wisconsin, they were down by as much as 18, clawed back, and lost by 2 points. The Hoosiers, it was a completely different outcome that we saw on Tuesday night in Assembly Hall. Like you mentioned, the second worst loss in Assembly Hall history. The team looked disheartened. They looked disgruntled after that game against the Illini. And I mean, Luke Goody said it best. This team needs some sort of revival, and he is counting on the fans to bring the energy, but bring the positive energy. And the Hoosiers desperately need this bounce-back win for Mike Woodson's squad.
As we welcome back here inside the WIOX studio. Sorry about that. Brooks White is back with us here inside Value City Arena. Brooks, 6-point lead for the Buckeyes here at half. What does Indiana need to do when they come out of the halftime break?
Well, the Hoosiers need to be consistent. They played a good brand of basketball in that last 2 minutes, but I mean, I think it really comes down to the big men. Now, Umar Ballo has had a great game. He leads the Hoosiers in all scoring with 10 points right now, and he leads them with rebounds as well, with 5 rebounds. He's keeping these offensive possessions alive, and that is what the Hoosiers need to do, because the longer the offensive possession, especially here in college basketball, the more likely you are to end up hitting the shot at the end of the possession. Now, currently, Gavin, the Hoosiers are not shooting well. From beyond the three-point line, they're shooting at 11%. From within the three-point line, the overall field goal percentage is 33%. Now, compared to the Buckeyes, 46% and 33% from beyond the arc. The Buckeyes simply have been shooting the ball better. They've been holding the ball for longer, and they've been controlling this game. The Hoosiers need to flip that script, and they desperately need to take advantage here in the next 20 minutes and knock the Buckeyes off their game and their momentum right now.
Indiana comes out with the victory, but Ohio State now 3 straight losses. And Brooks, what does that do for a team, especially in the Big Ten? How do you get out of a hole like that?
Well, it's Jake Diebler's first year as the Ohio State head coach, obviously taking over for Chris Holtmann. Ohio State has the resources to contend with some of the top programs in the country. They have a lot of NIL resources that they've used in the transfer portal, and they haven't gotten the results in the first year with Jake Diebler. Now, what I could say is 3 straight losses in conference play does not bode well for the team in momentum. Basketball in and of itself is a game of momentum and a game of runs. We saw the Hoosiers go on a big run and take the momentum there with about 10 minutes left to go in the second half. Now, you could say the same thing about a season if you look at it from a zoomed-out perspective. Basketball is a game of momentum. Right now, the Buckeyes just don't have it. And for a while there, the Hoosiers didn't have it. Maybe this could be the turning point in their season, and they can look forward, take those back-to-back losses to Iowa and Illinois that were heartbreaking. Indiana didn't even look like a competitive team in that game. You take them and you turn them around. For Ohio State, you have to do that. You have to come up on the road big, create some momentum for your program, and you're not going to create momentum without winning these games. And in conference, this game was a must-win for both teams for that reason, momentum and turning around this season in what could have been a terrible time for the program. The Hoosiers did that.